I grew up in a small rural town where October was the only time anything interesting ever happened. Cornfields, empty highways, and shuttered shops made up most of our world. But every Halloween, without fail, the Johnson farm turned into the last attraction, a haunted maze built out of hay bales, plywood shacks, and old farm equipment. Everyone went. Teenagers made dates of it. Families brought kids early before it got too intense. By the time night fell, the real show began. Costumed actors lurking in the shadows, chainsaws roaring, and screams echoing through the fields. It was cheesy most years. But that night, the Halloween 3 years ago, it was different. I remember pulling up with my friends Kyle and Jenna. The parking lot was just a patch of dirt beside the cornfield. Pickup trucks and sedans lined up under the moonlight, their exhaust visible in the chill. A speaker somewhere near the ticket booth blasted spooky music, but the sound kept cutting in and out like a dying radio. We paid our $10 each, got our little glow stick wristbands, and waited our turn. The entrance was a wooden arch painted black with dripping red letters. The last attraction, enter if you dare. I didn't think much of the place, but the man who took our tickets gave me a shiver I couldn't shake. He wasn't in costume, not really, just a flannel shirt, jeans, and a hunter's cap. His beard was scraggly, and his eyes never blinked as he took my wrist and clamped on the glow band. His grip was strong, too strong. "Enjoy yourselves," he said flatly. Something in his voice made me want to turn around. Inside, it was the usual chaos. Fog machines belching mist, actors in rubber masks leaping out, recorded screams playing over hidden speakers. Kyle laughed too loud, trying to show how tough he was. Jenna clung to my arm, her nerves raw. I tried to laugh with them, but every time I looked back, I swore I saw someone lingering behind us in the fog. Not one of the actors. Someone else. The first real scare came in the butcher's shack. A strobe light flashed over bloodied pig carcasses hanging from hooks, fake, obviously. But one figure wasn't fake. He wore a pig mask, his shirt smeared dark. He didn't lunge. He just stood there staring at me through the eye holes. I whispered, "That guy's good." But when the light strobed again, he had moved closer. No noise, no theatrics, just closer. We pushed through the shack, hearts racing, and spilled into the cornfield maze. Stalks towered over us, dry and rustling. The fog thickened, and the speakers squealed with distorted static. That's when we heard it. Not the canned screams or chainsaws. A different sound. A wet, hacking cough. Slow footsteps dragging through the dirt path behind us. "Another actor," Kyle muttered, but his voice had lost its confidence. We kept walking, quickening our pace. The footsteps matched us. Every turn we made, they followed. I glanced over my shoulder, and through the drifting fog I saw him again, the man in the pig mask. His chest heaved with each rasping breath. His hands, they weren't props. They were raw, filthy, the nails black with dirt. "Okay, he's really good at this," Jenna whispered. But then we reached a fork. The left path had a glowing pumpkin marker. The right one didn't. We hesitated. That's when the pig mask man closed the distance. He was only 20 feet away now, shoulders squared, not saying a word. "Go left," I hissed. We ran. The corn slapped against our arms as we bolted through the maze, breath coming in sharp bursts. Behind us, the footsteps turned from dragging to pounding. He was running now. The maze spat us into another staged area, a graveyard set, complete with fog machines and foam tombstones. Actors in ragged clothes rose from behind the graves, moaning. For a split second, I almost relaxed. This was fake. Until one of the actors leaned close to whisper, "Don't stop! He's not with us." My stomach dropped. What? But she was already moving, shambling toward another group. We didn't wait. We sprinted through the graveyard, past screaming teens and bored-looking parents. My glow-stick wristband snapped against my skin as I pumped my arms. The music cut out again, leaving only our ragged breathing and, behind us, the steady crunch of boots on dirt. When we reached the next shack, I slammed into the wooden door, forcing it open. Inside was pitch black, except for a dim red bulb swinging from the ceiling. The door creaked shut behind us, and the air turned stale. That's when I heard the click of the lock, and the breathing was inside the room with us. The red light swung above us, casting the shack in jagged, distorted shadows. My heart pounded so hard I could feel it in my throat. Kyle and Jenna were pressed against me, both silent now, frozen in fear. I tried the door, locked. "Hello?" I forced my voice to sound calm, though it came out brittle. Hello? Is someone there? No answer. Just the breathing. Slow, labored, close, too close. I fumbled for my phone, hoping to flash a light, but the screen was dead. No signal. The rural grid, classic mistake. My stomach churned. This wasn't part of the attraction. He wasn't part of the attraction. Then a shadow moved across the far wall. A tall figure hunched slightly, dragging something that scraped against the floor. Kyle whispered, "Oh God, what is that?" I squinted. At first, I thought it was just a prop, one of the actors trying to get us, but the rhythm was wrong, too deliberate, too alive. And then I saw the eyes, dark, wide, unblinking. The mask had been removed. "Run," I croaked. The figure lunged, fast, too fast. I shoved Kyle and grabbed Jenna's arm, and we barreled into the back corner of the shack. A pile of hay bales offered the only cover. I crouched behind them, trying to steady my shaking hands. The red light threw his shadow across the walls as he circled the room, sniffing the air like some predator. A growl, or maybe it was a voice, spilled from his throat. "You shouldn't have come here," he said, gravelly, low, and final. We stayed silent. Then the first movement came, a swing of his arm catching the top of the hay bales. They toppled, sending splinters of straw into the air. Kyle yelped. That was enough. He turned toward us. Panic surged. I grabbed the nearest piece of plywood leaning against the wall and swung it like a bat. It bounced harmlessly off his shoulder. He grinned, just a thin, twisted line across his face, and lunged again. We ran for the exit, but the door wouldn't budge. He followed, breathing ragged now, almost gleeful. The smell hit me. Sweat, dirt, decay. Like he had been living in the woods behind the attraction for weeks, months. I scrambled over a stack of crates, Jenna falling behind me. Kyle tried to help her up, but the figure was already closing in. I turned just in time to see him grab Kyle by the shoulder, twisting him around. Kyle screamed, a high, piercing sound that I'll never forget. I slammed my shoulder into him, shoving with everything I had. He stumbled, cursed, and Kyle scrambled free. We bolted through the fog of the graveyard, past the staged tombstones, screaming parents and laughing teens who thought it was part of the act. But we didn't stop, not for a second. Then the crunching boots came from behind again. He was still after us. Jenna yelped and pointed to the left, a break in the cornfield, another path we hadn't noticed. We tore into it, the stalks slicing our arms and faces. Behind us, the shadowy figure was still gaining, moving with terrifying, unnatural speed. The maze opened onto the main parking area. A pickup truck sat at the edge of the lot. Keys in the ignition. "Get in!" I yelled. We piled inside, slamming the doors shut. I turned the key, and the engine roared to life. The headlights cut through the fog as we ripped down the dirt path. Behind us, I saw him, standing at the edge of the parking lot, one arm raised, pointing as if marking a target. His face, half illuminated by the flickering attraction lights, was grotesque. And then he ran. Fast, faster than any human should be able to. I floored the gas. The tires threw up clods of mud. We didn't look back. Not once. When we finally reached the highway, breathless, trembling, and soaked in sweat, I dared to glance at the rearview mirror. Nothing. Just the empty road stretching behind us. We didn't stop driving until we hit the city lights. Then we pulled over, shivering, hugging ourselves. Our words were broken, scattered, useless. The next day, the local paper ran a story. A worker at the last attraction had disappeared. His co-workers thought he had just left town. No one mentioned a masked man. No one mentioned the fog-filled corn maze, the shack, the hay bales. But I know what I saw. I know what chased us. And every year, when Halloween rolls around, I see it in every shadow, every flicker of a jack-o'-lantern. I see him standing at the edge of the maze, waiting for the next group of kids foolish enough to step inside. And I know I'll never forget the sound of his breathing behind me. Because sometimes the scare is real.